Again, Zach Locks Parker. It's Wednesday. We're going to talk some college football, the week that was, the week that will be, and the week that won't be next week. Casey's on the road, got busy business to take care of. Zach and I will be at home texting about $1.87 wins in prize picks. Oh,
Hey,
happy.
we're crossing our fingers for wins. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even know if it'll happen.
We'll take the W's. Beef, where are you
Mhm.
tonight? Where in the world is
I
Beef?
am in the booming metropolis of Greenville, South Carolina tonight,
Wasn't
in
that
my
where you
tour around South Carolina.
wasn't that where you were last week too?
I was in Columbia last week.
How could I forget that? The dregs of society. Hey, Jeffrey Edwards checks in and says, "Good evening, guys. A good win over Notre Dame. Thank you, Clemson.
I didn't
Perfect.
think anyone would ever. I didn't think anyone would ever rival. Uh, why can't I think Kevron?
Kevron.
Uh,
Comes in
Jeff
hot.
Edwards is fan of the show, so we appreciate it very much.
No doubt. Kevron used to check in like 10 seconds after. Jeffrey Edwards checks in 3 minutes before the show. That's been up there
He's
for
prompt, former teacher. They're just prompt.
Nice.
yes, sir. Hey, he perfect segue too, because we want to talk about Clemson, Notre Dame. We talked a couple of weeks ago, or what was that? About a month ago. Clemson's last victory before Notre Dame. How it was a kind of a no sweat game. We never worried about it, and oddly, Fox was 7-3. I wasn't too worried. I thought Clemson, once they learned how to tackle the running back, once Trotter was unleashed on the Notre Dame offense, that game should have been, I don't know, 21 maybe. But boy, it was close, but I didn't feel like that. I thought Clemson was in control of that game.
Who are you going
Lock,
to? Me?
Locks.
I no, it was a good start to the game from Notre Dame standpoint. Esme took off and it guys like a bowling ball. Reminded me of Jerome Bettis the way he was hitting the hole and ripped off a couple of good runs. But they closed that up real quick and learned on that first drive of what Notre Dame was trying to do. Um, Once you stop that, you could just see how one-dimensional Notre Dame's offense was. It was incredible. I would say that would be one of Sam Hartman's worst performances, uh, maybe of his career, even too. It was a little surprising. You know, your tight end is your leading receiver for the year. He got held in check. Just not a
He's
whole
out.
lot. What's that? Zero? Was it
He had zero because he's
zero?
out.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay. So either way, I mean, they just didn't have anyone open for him to throw to. It was a little stunning. I thought they just kept on going back to the run, and Clemson wasn't having it after that first series. So yeah, surprise. I didn't.
It
I
was,
didn't pick him to win. Clearly, I
you
had
took
Notre
the
Dame.
opposite. Wow.
I did.
You
I
took
took
the
the
opposite.
opposite. Paid the price.
Now, Beef, I saw you on Twitter talking about Sam Hartman didn't have anyone to throw the ball to. Made a world of difference because when he was quarterbacking for wait for it, Wake Forest, Clemson could not stop him in the Wake Forest offense. But as Locke said, it didn't look that way on Saturday. That was kind of weird and wild and shocking, as Locke said.
Yeah, Locke said it perfectly. He didn't have anyone to really throw to, and it's amazing. I mean, you lose an A.T. Perry, you lose a Donovan Green. I mean, he had dogs at Wake Forest, and I know Notre Dame fans didn't want to hear that he probably had better receivers at Wake than he does at Notre Dame, and maybe if he was coming next year when Rico
Yeah.
Flores Jr. has another year under his belt and another recruiting class, but Sam Hartman doesn't anymore. And I said I went on Palk's show last week, and I said that maybe if they used a little slow mesh, Clemson would be baffled,
Baffled.
but they really didn't. And I know Notre Dame fans, at least on Twitter and the social medias, are absolutely killing Gerard Parker, their offensive coordinator, for not using Estime more. But I went back and I watched the game again, which doesn't happen, and then I went back and looked at the drive summary as well. Now, other than that first drive, he really was held in check. I said, as my genius of the week on the Message Board Geniuses podcast, I used Gerard Parker as my genius for not using Estime. But then I went back and kind of checked myself, and Estime he busted that 23 and that 25, but he had a -1 and a 3 and a 2 and a -4, and he had, there were a lot more of the negatives or the single digit runs than the 23 and 25. Maybe it's from lack of use, I don't know, but it did feel like Clemson held them in check.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Now, to answer Sylvester's question, Sylvester, when I set this up today, I did get the dreaded, we're having issues with Facebook. So when that happens, it doesn't make it to Facebook. But thank you for joining us here on YouTube. It also cuts into our viewers, but we're doing okay tonight. There's a problem between StreamYard and Facebook. I would give my genius of the week to the head coach. Right now, I'm blanking on him.
Marcus Freeman.
Marcus Freeman. What was that at the end of the first half? The whole first half, it looked like he was how do you say it? Like going to his corner, right? He was like, I don't want to do anything, which may not be a bad strategy against Clemson, right? Wait for Clemson to screw up somehow, which they did. Yeah. Unfortunately for Notre Dame, they're too far ahead. But last year I gave Palk a hard time about Freeman because he was touting this guy who had 0 head coaching wins, like he was, I don't know, Bear Bryant or Newt Rockne or whatever legend you want to say. The guy recruits great. That's not my criticism. He's obviously an inexperienced head coach, and to me, it looked like at the end of the first half, he gave away a possession in what amounted to a 1-possession game. Am I the only one that saw that? Did you see that, Locks?
Yeah, the use of the lack of use of the timeouts, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're really speaking of? Yeah, yeah. And that's not the first time I think that he's pulled this action that I've seen in the past either. Just I don't know if it's lack of experience, like you're saying, or he needs someone in his corner going, hey, that would be a real good time, to back him up to kind of push him a little bit to call a timeout. But it is an experience situation too. And also, like I said, maybe waiting on Clemson to make a mistake. And God knows they do it later. And I was waiting on Clemson to make a mistake the whole game, even down the last couple minutes. But yeah, I think I've seen this out of him before, unfortunately. But he is still, second year.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine long term, and he recruits well, as I said. It's just I'm not ready to put him in the great coach category. How about you, Beef?
No, I don't think so yet. It's amazing that again, Notre Dame fans on the social medias are ripping Gerard Parker, but maybe Tommy Rees wasn't the problem. Maybe Brian Kelly wasn't the problem. Maybe they have a quarterback a problem developing players and developing quarterbacks. Obviously, they don't have a problem developing offensive linemen or tight ends, and even that defensive front was solid too. But isn't it funny that Clemson gets that interception late in the second half, and it's like the game's over. They just have to kind of keep it, about 6 minutes left, I believe it was, and just have to run it out. Maffa fumbles. Yeah. I mean, you talk about emotions. That I went from uber elation to oh God, here we go again, and then because Hartman throws another pick, and it's over. Right? It just felt like, wow. Even the mistakes. Fumble's been will be the title of the book of 2023 Clemson team, but even the mistakes they Notre Dame made them too, and that was really nice to see.
Yeah,
it's always nice to beat them, Marty. Let's just be honest.
Hey, I didn't respond to Palk. I didn't. He didn't. There was nothing inflammatory from him. Now, Casey, I saw you on Twitter. You said 99% of Notre Dame fans are great. Well, none of them on Twitter are great. Palk was very respectful, and I appreciate that, Mr. Palk. But man, there were some diatribes from Notre Dame fans about penalties, and I'm thinking, of course, I'm a Clemson fan. I'm thinking, hey, there was about 6 more you could have called on Notre Dame. Interferences, holding on receivers, holding on defensive players. I'm sure Clemson had a holding that wasn't called. I'm not trying to say Clemson was perfect. I'm just saying, look inward first and say, hey, we committed those penalties, and we got away with a few too. So,
and what they have, Marty, 3. Clemson went penalty-less throughout the whole game. I think Notre Dame had 3. So, I mean,
I don't even remember.
It was a smaller number. It was smallish number, right? Which is what college football should be. Let them play. Let them play. Did they miss a hold? Sure. Did they miss a hold both ways?
Both ways.
This is my rant that I could get on all day long. You know what? If they're not calling holding penalties, they're not calling it both ways. They're letting them play. So when you see that egregious hold and Xavier Thomas is getting wrapped around the neck and they don't call it, okay, just make sure it happens the other way. Okay, it didn't happen for them either. Let's just play. Let's play ball, which I love watching that game. There's nothing worse than a 26-yard run and you see that yellow flag and it's a little measly hold call on a BS, inside guard who just happened to trip over himself and pulled out a defender. It had nothing to do with it. Now we're going back. Now it's 2nd and 20. Sorry, I'm done.
Ooh. I didn't know what would trigger beef tonight. Now
don't worry, we're not playing Notre Dame again for a long time. So take a deep breath.
We're going to play SMU
next year.
SMU and Cal instead. Can't wait.
Exactly, Jeff. They never get any calls whatsoever.
Stanford, baby.
Oh, so funny, so funny. All right, let's move on to some other college football from the week. Georgia, Missouri, pretty good game. Texas, Kansas State, excellent game. Almost had that upset, fellas. Kansas State had it in the palm of their hands, and they gave it away. Alabama, LSU was good for about 3/4 locks, 3/4 or so. And Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma in the final of the Bedlam series. And I'll say this, they say it's the final of the Bedlam series, but about 15 years ago, they said Texas and Texas A&M would never play each other again. And we see how that's working out. Beef, what'd you take away from any of the other games of the week that didn't involve Notre Dame getting penalized every play and Clemson skating?
You ready for this analysis, Marty? I didn't watch them.
Not even Rutgers?
I was at Epcot in Disney, so I didn't watch them.
Okay. Locks?
I had the TV on.
I didn't even have the TV on.
No, I watched Georgia, Missouri was a pretty entertaining game. I watched that down here just because of where I'm at, and most of the folks I know are Georgia fans. But I'll tell you what, Georgia's quarterback is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. He's coming into his own. He's one of the ugliest players you'll ever see. One of the worst haircuts, too. But he's a pretty good football player. He's very efficient. And Missouri's a good football team, too. They hung in there. They were right there until the end, until Georgia pulled away. But I think Missouri plays Tennessee this week. That's like a pick-'em game. Should be pretty tight. And Georgia, of course, has Ole Miss at home. And I think Georgia is happy that they are at home for that game. So that was a good game. I enjoyed it.
So this is why folks come to this show for a hard-hitting analysis. I was at Epcot, and the other one says Georgia has an ugly quarterback.
That's it.
Dude, have you seen him? He's ugly. Make sure he keeps his helmet on.
That's hilarious.
Locke's trying to date him over here, you know.
All right, Beef.
Here's where you make all your money. Clemson and Georgia Tech this week. Now, I got to pick on this game coming up later. I won't spoil the surprise. Beef, have you done any research on Georgia Tech?
I have. Actually, being here in the upstate and driving around, I listened to 105.5 The Roar. I listened to 97.7 The Fan today. So I got all my insight from those fine gentlemen and ladies that work at those radio stations. I do know Haynes King is the quarterback. He's a transfer from Texas A&M, former 4-star, 5-star, depending on what service you read. He actually leads the ACC in touchdown passes at 22. He has 10 interceptions. That's a little high interception-wise. They have a decent running back in Jamal Haynes, not to be confused with Haynes King. So you're going to be hearing the name Haynes. Every time you hear Haynes, you got to drink this weekend. He's got 6 touchdown rushings. Haynes King also has a lot of rushing yards for a quarterback. He is a true definition of dual threat quarterback. The 2 big wide receivers, Eric Singleton Jr., 6 touchdowns receiving, Malik Rutherford, 3 touchdowns receiving. That's awesome. Their offense is fantastic. They've put up 500 yards, 600 yards the last 3 weeks. They had another like 450. I think it was 450, 520, and 603 or something in the last 3 weeks. But defensively, they are in total defense. They are 126th in the country in total defense. They are 129th in the country in rushing defense. What did Clemson do last week? Ran the football effectively with Phil Maffa. Now you add Shipley back in the mix. I'm not getting into the debate of who or where or what or how. All I know is they'll both get their touches, and I truly believe that. But Clemson needs – South Carolina State ran for 196 against them. Clemson needs to be over 200 yards at least. This can't be one of those games that Clemson runs for 64 yards because they loaded the box. As someone said today, I think it was Brad Sink on 105.5, they load the box against everybody, and it hasn't worked. So if they keep it simple on the offensive line with the run scheme zone blocking as they did last week and made it look easy against a fantastic front four of Notre Dame, Clemson dirt raid all day long. Take it. Hammer the -14 this week.
Well, considering what we saw the passing game on Saturday, that sounds like the smart thing to do. Boy, that was ugliness. Thank goodness for Phil Maffa. Hey guys, the poll last week, something happened in our poll that has never happened before in the history, the long and storied history.
We had no votes
of our poll. We had 46,000 votes, and it was a dead heat. Clemson beats Notre Dame. Kansas State beats Texas. One came true. One was very close, and one was Casey. Locks and I tied. Locks' pick came true, so we have to crown Locks as the winner of the poll this week. He won the tiebreaker because his bold prediction actually came true. And
he didn't even believe it.
I can't.
No, I picked Notre Dame and Sluggo Bucks.
I don't see John Chansey in the chat, but Chansey on Rubbing the Rock picked Notre Dame 38-10, and I went back to read some of the comments, and they were hilarious. Like, there's no way they picked Notre Dame 38-10 or something. It's a poor chance he can't win. All right, time for bold predictions this week. I almost got it last week, so I'm going back to the well this week. This is the final ever in mankind history game between Texas Christian and Texas, and it's in Fort Worth. Amon G. Carter Stadium. I don't know if it's G or not, but it sounds right. Amon G. Carter Stadium. I'm picking Texas Christian to upset Texas this weekend. Notice there's a theme in my bold prediction. I think this is the fourth time I picked somebody to beat Texas. So there's a theme there.
Manifest it, Marty. Manifest it.
Yeah, it's going to happen eventually.
What you got, Beef? What you got bold prediction this week?
I want massive chaos to happen. Thinking of locking up. So I'm going to say my bold prediction is Washington loses to Utah.
All right.
Okay.
What's
I
the
thought
spread?
about that one. Yeah.
I don't even know what the spread is off the top of your head.
Tight. I want to say. I can look real quick. It's maybe 5. I don't remember.
I think it is 5. Yeah, I believe it's 5.
Okay. I don't even know what. While you're looking, what's Texas, Locks? I didn't even look.
It's 9.5. Washington 9.5.
Texas is favored by 10.
Okay, so about
it is 9.5. Holy smokes!
That moved, but I don't know how much. But
at Washington, yeah.
Sylvester chimes in. He said Casey does not agree or does not like the result.
No, but did I? I mean, I think I said it last week. I talked too much to too many people. Miami and North Carolina State are the 2 worst teams in the ACC. Sorry, there's no reason Clemson should have lost to either one of those teams.
Well, I agree with that. Locks, what's your bold prediction
Miami's
for the
defense
week?
is good.
Mine's a little bit outside the box. Okay, it's not so much a game. It's just something that sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. It's happened so far this year, but we can't always count on it. So we'll all be asleep. Maybe not Marty. This game starts at 10:30. USC. Yeah, exactly. USC plays Oregon. It could be a decent game, but my bold prediction is Caleb Williams will cry at the end of this game.
He might cry at the beginning.
He tends to cry. Sometimes he wants to hug his dog, and cuddle and go to sleep with him and doesn't want to think about football anymore because he's sad. He has no defense.
Here, I have an addendum to my bold prediction. Here's the addendum. I think we're going to get more votes this week when I put that in the poll. We'll get more votes, and Caleb Williams crying will win the poll this week, and we'll get. I don't know what the week Beef cheated and used all his Virginia friends. We had like 111 votes.
That's
so
a good bet.
We got some voting to do if we're going to do it. But Caleb,
you'd think I'd go to that well again, but I haven't.
They're probably not your friends anymore after that.
Virginia.
All right, we're going to keep this review of last week brief because now you know why this show is titled "Give Me Liberty" or "Give Me an L." I've won 2 out of the last 6 picks. Both of them have been Liberty. I can't win with anybody else, and shockingly, I did not pick Liberty this week, which is really dumb.
Top 25 this week too, Liberty. Yeah, they crept in there, didn't they?
Locks with his 4th clown of the year, I believe. Beef just continues to roll on. And speaking of which, let's look at the standings. Beef, incredibly, ever since I gave him mauve, that mauve color for his name, he's 18, 11, and 1 on the season. Locks 13, 14, and 3. I'm sorry. And I'm 14 and 16, but I made some big dumb bets and got what I deserved. There. Let's see. All right. We are off. It is time, fellas. Don't tell anybody.
I don't think you could have done any worse if you tried.
Well, I take that as a victory.
These guys aren't doing research, so why should I? Beef, you stink the most.
A true believer in what they're doing in North Carolina. That's why I'm picking Virginia Tech,
Tennessee.
I love Spencer Rattler.
I agree with Marty.
I don't like this.
Look, you smell it, the backdoor cover.
Or before he was at the University of South Carolina. So I was, what do you call that? Prescient? I can't say anything. King right. And Sylvester chimes in. Duke over UNC.
I like that one better.
UNC is favored by 14 over Duke. Craziness.
Riley Leonard. If Riley Leonard's healthy, they got a chance.
Not. They already said he's out, I think.
Well, no chance.
Yeah. He's good though.
All right. As has become the custom here, I'm so bad. I keep going first. This is traditionally known as beef position, but I don't know. He's paying attention this year for some reason. He's pretending like he's not Locks, but I know he's reading everything he can get his hands on. But I'm going to go to Clemson and Georgia Tech. I'm joking, Beef. I know you're not doing research. I'm going to go to Clemson and Georgia Tech. Clemson had a big win last week. That's not why I'm taking Georgia Tech. I'm taking Georgia Tech because everybody looks at the box score and sees Clemson scored 31 points. Well, we know they had a pick 6, and then there was a fumble punt inside the 15. And I look at said box score, and Clemson had 261 yards of offense, right? That used to be a good half, or 271 or something in the 200s. That used to be a good half for Clemson. Beef has just expounded on how bad the Georgia Tech defense is, which I fully believe. But Clemson's still fumbling the ball. They're still throwing interceptions. There's still the Clemson factor you got to count in. If this was 13.5, I wouldn't have taken it, but it's 15. I can't see this Clemson team beating many teams by more than 14 points. So I'm just playing the number here, and I'm taking Georgia Tech plus 15. And get ready for this number, folks. 562 Sluggo bucks.
Oh boy.
There it is, Locks. There it is.
Yep.
It's minus 110, by the way, fellas. Locks, your pick.
Let's see here. First game I'll start with Oklahoma State. A little bit of a fishy line here, playing at why can't I think of it? UCF. They only favored by 2.5. They've won 5 straight, and they also have covered the number 5 straight times too. So, kind of feels like they're on a roll. They, beat Oklahoma last week. Looked great in it too, and their running back's fantastic. I don't know if you guys tuned in and saw it. Well, I know Beef didn't. Ollie Gordon, guy is awesome. 6 straight 100-yard games. Very good running back for them. a letdown game, maybe, but I still don't understand the 2.5 line. Kind of like it being at 2.5, so I'm going to bet 800 on Oklahoma State here. I know, Marty, you said good luck with that, but good luck to me.
Minus 112. I was just poking at you, trying to make you
Doesn't
get
take
nervous.
much.
Yeah, that's right. I know.
Yeah.
It doesn't take. Now, this team has got
questioning
good.
everything.
I picked them against South Alabama, and they got crushed. But since then, they're doing really well. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just figured coming off Oklahoma game, they'll have a little bit of a letdown. Plus, and really the only reason I say anything is I wanted to cause you some angst, because that's what we do.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, mission accomplished. I probably didn't even have to say anything. You would have angst. But anyway, Beef, your first pick of the day, buddy.
My first pick of the day, I'm going to the FSU Miami game that Sylvester was talking about earlier. Keon Coleman and the other wide receiver, Johnny Wilson, I believe, will be back for them this week. They won a game last week against Pitt pretty handily, even though without their top receivers, a couple guys on defense. I believe they're getting healthy. This is a rivalry game, so strange things happen. They're playing Miami. I just think Miami is atrocious. Tyler Van Dyke has regressed significantly. He's the only quarterback in the ACC with more interceptions than touchdowns.
Yes.
So that's something that Clemson doesn't have this year, which is weird. Florida State minus 14. I just think it's going to be a bloodbath. Even if Coleman and Wilson aren't at 100%, I think Florida State rolls with Toafili and Benson. Give me Florida State minus 14, 800. Sluggo bucks. I'm Matt Locks dollar for dollar this week. He's getting way too close.
Woo! And that's minus 111. Minus 111. Second pick for me, Virginia Tech, Boston College. Here's how good my year is going making picks. This came out with Virginia Tech getting 2.5 points. The genius that I am, I said, I'm going to wait till it gets to 3. Well, guess what? It never got to 3. It went the other way. And now I got to give Boston College 1.5 because I can't figure out if that makes me smart or dumb, because I knew the wrong team was favored, but I got greedy and wanted another half a stinking point, and it ended up costing me 4 points. But Virginia Tech's a better team. They're going to wipe the field with them, hopefully by 2 or more. Wait for this number, fellas. Virginia Tech minus 1.5. Let's say it all together. 562 Sluggo bucks. That's minus 110. Locks, your second pick.
All right, we're going SEC, baby. SEC is back. I don't know if you saw. If the SEC is back, that basically means that Alabama's back. They lead the SEC, obviously. I am going to hold on my Alabama pick. That's going to be my last one. But I'm going to go with Ole Miss plus 10.5 at Georgia. I think Georgia's a little skittish after this Missouri game. I think Georgia wins the game, but it's just going to be within the number. They might just win by 10. So Lane Kiffin, another chance here to be the top 5 team. Just can never get the job done, though, it seems like. So I don't particularly like this one because Georgia is so streaky. I'm going to only bet 500 on this one.
All right, Georgia and their ugly quarterback.
Yeah, you check them out, Marty. I'm going to send you a picture here.
That's minus 110, 10.5 point spread. Locks is taking Ole Miss over UGA. Let me make sure I got that right. All right.
Yep.
Beef, your second pick.
I'm going to the Big Ten. Michigan minus 5 at Penn State. At Penn State scared me a little bit, but then I watched them play offense against Ohio State, and they got nothing. Their defense is pretty good, but someone said earlier that it looks like Penn State is playing inside a crayon box because they don't have much anything on the outside. So, Michigan minus 5 for $1,000 I'm really confident on that one.
My God.
That's minus 110. The pressure is on Locks. Notice there's no pressure.
Crayon box.
I'm so far behind, it doesn't matter. And that brings me to my third pick. And that's similarly, what I told these two fellows during the week is Why am I wasting time worried about this third pick? I'm so far behind. It really doesn't matter. I found my old friends out there, Fresno State. Now they're 8-1, playing 4-5 San Jose State, and they're only a 1-point favorite. And that made me wonder why. I don't know why, but something's up because the ESPN predictor only has Fresno at 50.6%. But it's a 1-point game. Surely they can beat San Jose State by 1 point. If not, oh well. If not, next week I just get to host a show and I don't have to make any picks because I don't have any Sluggo bucks left.
Is that the rule?
Well, maybe I can borrow some money from you and lose that too, just like real life. All right. Fresno State -1. It's -107 for everybody together. 562 Sluggo bucks. There we go. Locks, your third and final pick, and Beef has laid down the gauntlet. And let's see if you respond.
Yeah, my last one is Alabama at Kentucky. Alabama's favored by 10.5. I think that line's shifted a little bit to 11 now. Haven't lost to Kentucky since 1997, so we know they're going to win. It's just a matter if they're going to cover the number. I think they will. Kentucky is 6-2. Here's a real stat: 6-2 against the spread as a home underdog since 2019 under Mark Stoops. Think about it. Doesn't matter. Alabama's going to kill them. I think Jalen Milroe is far and away feeling himself right now. I love Alabama in this spot. I think they're going to really start pushing themselves up the board for the committee to look at to start leapfrogging some people here. I think they're going to just smash them. So I'm going to put down 4,000 Sluggo bucks on this bet.
Woo-hoo-hoo, -110. I could return more.
I haven't written down. I didn't change anything since you.
Wow.
Had your 1,000 before.
Nice. Oh, now the pressure goes like swatted that little pickleball back over to the pickleball champion.
You got to bet $1 if you're smart.
The island pickleball champion, Casey the Beef Cregan, for his third and final pick.
Pickleball champion.
No one goes in to Kinnick Stadium.
This is the wildest.
And wins. Except for maybe Rutgers. But that's not here nor there this week. Last week I went to the well just because, for poops and giggles, and went with the Iowa Northwestern under, which was what did I get it at? 32.5, I think.
No, 30.5.
It was
the
30
lowest
and a half.
ever, I think.
Right. So I went, Rutgers has been the dance with the girl you brought all season. It's kind of led me to the 18 and 11. They haven't really let me down this year. And then I saw the over under, and it's under 28.5. So I did a little research. Found that offensively, Iowa is total offense. Their ranking in the NCAA is 119th in the country.
Hell yeah.
At 18.4 points a game. Rutgers is a little bit better at 72nd in the country, 26.8 points a game. But they played WAG and they counted that. They scored 50-something in that one. Then I went to total defense. And I'm sorry, this is long-winded. It's just who I am. Iowa is 4th in the country, and Rutgers is 20th.
Wow.
And last week it was a 15-9 game, I believe, between Iowa and Northwestern.
0-0 half. 0-0 half.
Rutgers can run the ball with Kyle Monungai, the kid who transferred from Seton Hall Prep out of Seton Hall Prep. Anyway, they can run the ball. Their quarterback, Gavin Wimsatt, cannot throw it whatsoever. Iowa is just Iowa. So I'm going, because it's funny and fun for me, going under 28.5. Rutgers, Iowa, for 250 Sluggo bucks.
I think it's a no-brainer, honestly.
It's a throwaway bet. It's one of those just
but
because
it's scary.
I didn't bet a lot of it. Yeah.
It's not much fun. 250 bucks. Okay.
It's not much.
Let's go with Beef.
Do it.
Yeah.
You do. That's, like you said, that's your personality. Got to roll with it. Okay. Beef is way in first place. So let's get his first. Here is the recap. If I was a good host, I would pull it up and put it on the screen, but apparently I'm not a good host. Here we go. Casey the Beef Cregan. Florida State, Miami. He's taking Florida State minus 14, minus 111 for 800 Sluggo bucks. Iowa Rutgers, as he just said, fun. Let's laugh. It'll be a good watch if you need to fall asleep. Under 28.5, minus 110 for 250 Sluggo bucks. Michigan minus 5 at Penn State minus 110 for 1,000 Sluggo bucks. Zach Locks Parker right in the middle. He's however you look at it, he's either in second place or he's next to last. That depends on how you look at it. Alabama minus 110, minus 10.5, playing Kentucky 4,000 Sluggo bucks. Could be a big move for Mr. Parker. Oklahoma State minus 2.5 at UCF, minus 112, 800 Sluggo bucks. And he's taking Ole Miss plus 10.5, plus 10.5, playing Georgia minus 110, 500 Sluggo bucks. So Locks has 5,300 on the line. I just got a text. I think that was Locks. And Beef has 2,050 on the line. Now for this week's winner, I got Georgia Tech plus 15, minus 110 at Clemson, 562 Sluggo bucks. I just don't think Clemson can beat anybody by 15. Prove me wrong, Tigers. I'll take the $562 loss. What do I care? Virginia Tech minus 1.5 at Boston College, minus 110 for 562 Sluggo bucks. And Fresno State, who hosed me early in the year, coincidentally, they're playing San Jose State. They are minus 1, minus 107, 562 Sluggo bucks. If I lose 2 games to Fresno State, I deserve everything that I get. Feeling pretty good. I like the $4,000 bet, Locks. I don't know if it'll win or not, but I just like it. I like you're taking a chance.
It was tough. I had it written down, like I said, and I just had to get it out of my mouth because I was like, you really could be making a big mistake. So we'll see. We'll see.
That never bothered me. Obviously, I got like $1.75 left. Beef, tell the people thank you. Let's get out of here.
Oh, you're going to make me work. Thanks to everyone in the Seldom Used Reserved College Football Discussion Facebook group. Uncle John McGee, as always, Sluggo Podcast, and each and every one of you who listens, likes, shares, and participates, especially Jeff Edwards, Sylvester, and John Chansey. On behalf of Marty, Seldom Used Reserved Coleman, Zach Locks Parker, I'm Casey the Beef Cregan. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right here next week. No, 2 weeks on
2
Sluggo.
weeks.
I think we're done here.